Fans were already in awe at Chrissy's wedding announcement. But Jim's answer is regarded as the most heartbreaking breakdown in the history of hip-hop relationships. 20 years. 20 years of pledges, plans, and public disputes, then private reconciliations, and then, in a startling turn of events, everything was destroyed. Supporters claim that Chrissy squandered 2 entire decades of her life. Additionally, the man who vowed to be his forever is now disintegrating before our own eyes. Chrissy shocked everyone by dropping a bombshell on that reunion tape. Declaration. I have a spouse. The ensuing quiet wasn't just quiet. It was heartache. Broadcast in 4K. Jim stopped. The producers went into a frenzy. Additionally, the audience sensed the kindness of stress that causes pain in your chest. And now Jim has finally spoken after days of gossip, leaks, and unending conjecture. What he said and said disclosed has elevated this controversy to the level of a reality TV episode. We're discussing industry betrayal, leaked voicemails, confidential messages, and a truth that has the potential to destroy everything. Stay put, because you will be shaken by what I am going to tell you. Time paused when Chrissy Lamine stepped onto the reunion stage and said, I'm married. Admirers were no longer only seeing reality TV. 2 decades of love were being viewed by them. Silence and sacrifice continued to disintegrate. Camera. Jim Jones remained still, unflinching and unblinking. His quiet was more audible than any profanity, more audible than any altercation, louder than any mic drop in the history of hip-hop and love. However, what followed? The leaks, the treachery that became apparent minute by minute transformed their reunion into a worldwide scandal. An unidentified Instagram user provided the first crack, the Industry Leaks account. Hours after the tape, they left a message purportedly from Jim. He spoke in a strained, almost, she ain't even give me the chance, bro. I had the ring. I had the whole plan, he broke while telling a pal. Twitter shared that 14-second video more quickly than wildfire. She ain't let me breathe. Every sigh and pause was examined by users, with some even asserting that you could hear glass clinking in the background. Was Jim drinking during this time? After 20 years of pressure, bloggers presented the message as the sound of a guy whose heart had finally broken. Then followed the text messages, while some fans posted cruel memes mocking his remorse, and others wept in sympathy. Fans couldn't stop reliving it. Screenshots of the alleged shade room between Jim and his mother appeared. He said, Mama Jones, she should have waited. Mama Jones's purported response was, I was gone. Do it right this time. She waited for 20 years, Jimmy, and you can't expect her to remain still. Fans went into a frenzy after Mama Jones, the same mama sided with Chrissy. What did it say about Jim's procrastination if even Jones, who had previously argued with her on television, acknowledged that Chrissy was justified? Within hours, justice for Jim became popular on the internet, with supporters claiming he was duped and taken by surprise. According to one widely shared tweet, Sis proposed. Others rallied under the hashtag #NockTeamChrissy, saying her patience had long since run out, to him in 2011. It took him 13 years to equal her vitality. Now don't weep. Another he was about to do it, he said. She denied him the opportunity. This is not empowerment. It is treachery. Fans posted relics of every proposal, every dramatic altercation, and every heartfelt reunion, making the verbal battle cruel. It was as though everyone on the internet was reliving their whole relationship in real time, assembling the proof of who was correct, who was incorrect, and who had squandered their life. However, the most shocking revelation came from backstage rather than from fans. During a disagreement, a filmmaker hired to capture behind-the-scenes footage unintentionally left his camera rolling, causing the tape to leak to TikTok within 24 hours. Jim is shown yelling inside Chrissy's dressing room while security scurries to keep up with him. You just said, drop that on me. In front of everyone? He said, no call, no warning, no nothing. Chrissy immediately jerked back, remaining in her fancy chair. I've been warning you for 20 years, Jimmy, but you've never heeded my warning. Listening. After pleading with you to pick me, I ultimately decided on myself. The video ended suddenly, but it was enough to ignite social media. On one side, a guy was publicly humiliated and denied his opportunity, while on the other, after decades of heartbreak, a lady regained her dignity, but the whisper that made everything worse came next. Insiders claim that Chrissy's new spouse has been a part of their social group for years and wasn't simply a random acquaintance. Just that notion had followers looking through old pictures, circling names in the background, and wondering whether old acquaintance had taken over as the new spouse. Reddit was overflowing with conspiracy threads, names were trending, and bloggers vowed to expose the truth. If the allegations were true, this was treachery from inside their own community, not merely heartache. In the meanwhile, Jim didn't post anything. No subtweets, no mysterious captions, not even a song lyric, and his quiet dragged on. The stillness was startling for a guy who was renowned to voice his opinions, and fans believed that he was shattered. Others said he was planning, and then he showed up. Jim went live late at night. On Instagram, his voice was thick, his shackles were off, and the room was dark. With loss, everyone was raving about how useless 20 years were. Perhaps it was. I loved that woman every single day, so don't tell me I don't love her, even if she should have left me a long time ago. The remarks went by so quickly, and I simply don't know how to express it the way she desired. She's gone now. Before anybody could recover their breath, they blurred. Some criticized his timing, while others admired his honesty. A studio audio of Jim rapping lyrics that seemed like a confession was leaked by Tasha K., who is notorious for delivering bombshells. She wore white and I wore shame for 20 years. I lost my queen, yet nothing changed. I lost my name. Fans didn't care if it was a freestyle or an unreleased song, saw it as gospel. Some said that it was his most vulnerable creation to date, while others charged that he had turned his suffering into a publicity ploy. Fans' responses continued as Rashidita shared a mysterious Instagram tale. Yandi went live and told her fans, "Ladies, don't wait decades for what you deserve now. This is why you set early borders. You can't keep waiting for someone to see how valuable you are." Mama D even added her voice. Phoning Chrissy's celebrities weren't only observing the wedding, they were stoking the flames. However, as the story began to settle, another curveball hit. An email purportedly from a VH1 producer was posted online, indicating that Chrissy had told weeks before filming, the company learned of her marriage, and it was decided to keep it from Jim for maximum effect. One sentence of the email said, "This will be the season's defining moment." This was more than just a personal betrayal, and many were in disbelief. Jim had not only been caught off guard by Chrissy, but he had also been ambushed by the suddenly, boycotts were being planned, and fans threatened to withdraw their support from the same network that created his career on reality TV. Demanding that VH1 take responsibility, some defended the network by claiming that Jim had made years of money off of reality TV drama and was now just on the receiving end. Jim's reputation was at stake as the argument continued. And just when everyone believed the storm was over, Jim shared a black and white picture of him and Chrissy from 2007 with the remark, "Forever, my lady," since it couldn't get any darker. Even if it's no longer my forever. In a single day, that post received over 1 million likes, and fans flocked to the some pleaded with Chrissy to change her mind, while others urged Jim to finally let her go. However, the murmurs persisted. According to sources, Jim wasn't finished and was secretly getting ready for an interview with Tal in which he would divulge every conflict, betrayal, and secret that the rumor had people waiting for the next shoe to drop, and Chrissy believed it would remain buried. Would Jim be utterly destroyed by this revelation, or would he finally regain control of the story? The first terrifying idea marked the end of this saga's chapter. This was more than simply a breakup. It was the breakdown of a relationship. Narrative that had shaped reality television for a decade. Jim's next action might either change the course of history or permanently destroy his legacy. Could change the course of history or permanently destroy his reputation. Jim Jones's late-night Instagram Live had a devastating impact. His comments, the tears he fought to contain, and the quiet that ensued were sufficient to start a second wave of unrest. "Don't tell me she'd blindside me," he said in a tight, guarded voice. "I've been new." Let her have her small moment. I simply don't want the cameras to know. Those 19 seconds set off a flurry of inquiries. Was Jim's quiet during the reunion a shock or a tactic? And did he actually know about Chrissy's marriage beforehand? Supporters immediately divided, with some claiming the conversation was fabricated and intended to humiliate him. He was outplayed, and others declared that the tone in his words was clear evidence that he wasn't taken by surprise. He knew, and he still let her break the internet, one of the trending tweets said. That's performance art then? No, he's just saving face, said another. When males fumble, they do that. However, the internet lacked before the next blow, which supposedly came in the form of leaked screenshots from Chrissy's phone, arrived. It was time to pick sides. They displayed brief but damaging texts that Chrissy had with an unidentified acquaintance named M. He won't change, Chrissy. I can't wait any longer. M. Then allow me to give you Chrissy. You already have the life you deserve. No waiting, no May, just us. The screenshots went viral. Who is M? Fans were speculating that it was the famous person Marcus Bellamy. Some thought that it may be someone even closer to home, while others said that architect Chrissy had been seen with at gatherings months before. The notion that another guy had been giving her everything Jim had offered her only served to feed the craze among admirers who had been clinging to the fantasy of Chrissy and Jim. It was too much to take in. For those who applauded Chrissy's independence, it was proof that she had at last made her own decision, and within hours, Jim's camp retaliated against someone else. One of his companions, posting anonymously on a gossip blog, claimed that the images were manipulated, manufactured, and staged to portray Jim as weak. However, Tasha K redoubled her efforts before the denial could take hold. Publishing Chrissy's voice faltered on the video as she stated, "I didn't do this to hurt him," in what she claimed was a voice message she sent to a friend. "I saved myself by doing this. That man gave me limbo after I gave him 20 years. I required a companion. He offered me a future instead of only promising it." The internet was disrupted by the breach. Fans bombarded Twitter with anger, adoration, and sadness all at once. 20 years wasted. No, 20 years invested in a man, according to one widely shared thread, who didn't ever cash out. She made a loss. Another trended equally quickly. She didn't have to embarrass herself by leaving him. This was not peace. It was retaliation. Then came the most shocking discovery to yet. An email purportedly sent by Jim's attorney to VH1 producers was released. Jim's team claimed in it that the network purposefully manipulated the reunion to ridicule him and threatened to sue him for character sabotage and emotional suffering. There was one terrifying sentence in the email. "If this video is shown without editing, you'll be accountable for my client's legacy being destroyed." Naturally, VH1 remained quiet, but insiders claimed that the network was frantically working behind the scenes, tearing between using the controversy to boost their numbers and defending one of their greatest stars. Chrissy, meantime, finally spoke up, not verbally, but with an image. She shared a picture of her hand entwined with her husband's on Instagram. The glittering wedding band in dimly lit areas. The image received 500,000 views in only a few minutes with the straightforward statement, "Peace looks good on me." Likes. Fans showered her comments with compliments, encouragement, and support. However, in the same sentence, others flooded her comments with charges of malice, disdain, and treachery against Jim. Then, as though predetermined by the cosmos itself, Jim said, not directly, not in public, but through another leak. Jim allegedly screamed in a voice message to Mama Jones, saying, "She really left me, Ma." The odd thing is that I believed I was going to give her that ring as a surprise. She hasn't even allowed me to speak. In the message, Mama Jones's answer was honest, sincere, and harsh. "You have 20 years to spread the message, Jimmy. Now is not the time to be upset about timing." Once more, the internet exploded. Mama Jones's support for Chrissy times in a single week. Fans were incredulous. She was the same lady who had argued with Chrissy on national television. Greatest protector. Hashtags were popular, memes went viral, and the storyline changed once more. Jim was more than simply devastated. He was by himself. However, the treachery went much farther. A former Love and Hip producer, Hop, revealed that Jim had been given several chances to pop the question to Chrissy on camera, with producers prepared to pay for extravagant proposals, but he consistently declined. The producer said he wanted it his way. The issue is that such phrases never appeared. Fans who had witnessed Chrissy beg, plead, and even drop down on one knee herself were hurt by the discovery. It was the last affirmation for many that Chrissy's greatest years had been wasted with Jim. But Jim was not done yet. He posted a freestyle titled "Forever Ain't Forever" on SoundCloud late one evening. The lyrics were devastating, scathing, and angry. "I said I would, and you said I do. 20 years later, that pledge remains / you turned to go. The battle was lost by me. I guess I should have done it correctly." Within hours, the song became one of the most popular themes. Supporters sobbed, analyzed, and argued on whether it was manipulation or art. However, another twist occurred before the dust could settle. A hazy picture purportedly showing Jim exiting a private dinner with Chrissy's long-term partner and Camila Joel Santana's wife was obtained by an insider. A friend. It was a grainy image. Although the context was unclear, it was plenty to drive supporters crazy. Had Jim moved on already? Was this just a coincidence, retaliation, or a rebound? Jim and Camila took care of things. However, the conjecture was sufficient to splinter the internet once more. As the week, the battlefield was closed and unobstructed. Chrissy was at ease. Jim was hurting. Additionally, the supporters